Greetings, I am Mariko Bennett, and I would like to welcome you to my podcast, Dreaming with Intention. This is a space where dreams are nurtured, intentions are set, and purposeful action turns visions into reality. Every episode, we dive into personal development, spiritual growth, and practical advice to help you to manifest the life that you have always envisioned for yourself. So, grab your notebook, settle in, and let's blueprint your dreams together. Welcome to Dreaming with Intention. Now let's get started. Okay, so today I am so excited. Y'all hear me say this all the time, but they truly are my favorites. So I'm here with one of my absolute favorites, Benjamin Gates, who's been with me now. I don't even know how many years it's been since we have been cellist, and you have played at, so many of my events with so many of my clients, and it's, and they're always like, the cellist, and I'm like, oh, Benjamin, they always are so in love and always want to have you come back. So I'm excited that we are going to be in dialogue today, where we don't have to perform, we're not on, in full production mode, but we just get to sit back and talk about your story of excellence and perseverance and this beautiful instrument that you play for us. Thank you. But I'm excited to be in conversation with you. So welcome and thank you for being here.
So first I want to say that I'm very grateful for this opportunity and for you extending your platform just to be able to have me here to even speak a little bit about my past and what I do with my company and everything else. So thank you very much for sharing your platform.
Absolutely. And we're birthday twins for the record.
Yeah,
Just saying. Okay. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's really jump into it. I'm excited about our topic today. As you know, we're going to be talking about the intention behind achieving your dreams. And I just really want to know, let's start at the beginning. Let's start at who is Benjamin? Where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about, your classical music training. But just some of your background. Tell us about your amazing, I'll be quiet, your amazing mom, Miss K, who we love. Because if you don't know Miss K, you don't know Benjamin, just saying. So, but tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about all of the things that got us here today.
So how we were able to get here today is a lot of my growing up was being a kid that comes from watching cartoons, playing video games and stuff like that, and a lot of things were influencing me from, Looney Tunes and stuff like that, having full orchestras and actually having those being present over the cartoon. That was really cool to me. So my mother had actually encouraged me to get into music, and she encouraged me by taking me into a petting zoo program for a local orchestra where I got to try out multiple different instruments. And the instrument that I was actually drawn to was the drums, but she didn't want me playing or making that much noise around the house. So over time, I ended up landing on the cello. I tried the trumpet, I tried the violin. The cello at the time, of orchestra, was the only instrument that you could sit down with, so that was the whole thing that ended up leading me there. So with my family and my upbringing, there was a lot of music that would be played around the house. If that was my mother blasting her records, or if that was my sister who listened to a wide range of diverse artists that goes from Floetry, that goes to Boys to Men, Aerosmith. So she had a very diverse playlist growing up that I got to experience. And all of those things were able to encourage me to a point of music. Again, I told you about how my mother took me to the petting zoo. And the cello,
which, by the way, I've never heard petting zoo in that context of going, touching, seeing, playing instruments to determine which one you are most inclined to. I think that draws you in, that pulls you in, right?
Right. So, like I was saying, the petting zoo was definitely a very good experience. Just being able to get my hands on a very wide range of instruments, to be able to decide that I didn't want to play the trumpet and violin and everything. And yeah, going back to the cello with the petting zoo, it was again a connection, because I could sit while performing and
Mm-hmm.
I very much appreciated that.
That was hilarious when you said that. I was like, okay.
And then the thing about it is the cello actually sits against the sternum of your chest. So a lot of the frequency that resonates off of the instrument is actually going into your heart. So you can actually feel a lot of what's going on with the cello resonating with you. Which is why I have profound love for the instrument and love continuing with it to this day.
Well, you know my daughter's a cellist. I'm trying to get her to learn from Benjamin, but we'll see. We'll see where she ends up with the cello. She still plays. She's been playing for a really long time. Now she's about to go to college, so we'll see what that looks like for her. So tell us about, that journey, right? So you go to the petting zoo, you decide, I'm going to play the cello, and the cello has taken you, to some pretty, big rooms, right? But you went, from Hampton University to the convention center to playing for governors to vice president. Talk to us a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so I can talk to you a lot about that journey. So one of the things was I ended up coming back from Hampton University, and I know that music was still something that I wanted to continue to do. So what ended up happening was I decided that I was going to actually take myself out on the street to be able to perform for people. It allowed me to cover 3 grounds, such as marketing myself. I say 3 grounds. It allowed me to market myself. It also allowed me to take the venues that I had been in from my time in orchestra up until that point and being able to take it out on the street. So if a person didn't have time to be able to get to a venue, even though there were free performances and stuff like that, I still found it imperative to be able to keep that in my community. So that was also an added benefit on top of marketing myself to the city. And that's pretty much where things had gotten started. When I got back home, I did not realize the different avenues that you can go into while doing music. So the thing that I looked towards doing immediately was getting out, to the street and just making sure that my sound was heard. So what ended up transpiring from those moments is I was able to gain an opportunity from a woman by the name of Michaela Pratt, who worked on behalf of Mentor Foundation, which at the time was housed over at the Swedish Embassy. And she saw me because I was performing in their general area, again outdoors, and she enjoyed my performance, which I was extremely grateful for so much that she brought me in for a meeting and an opportunity where I was able to have the opportunity to perform for the Queen of Sweden and the Princess as well. I was grateful to gain that opportunity from the streets. I had opportunities to meet a lot of good people, both people who were working jobs in that area and also people that were less fortunate than us, homeless people, and things of that nature. And just being able to experience all of that within the confines of being a musician on the street, I would say is something that really helped me in my development. And I can give you some stories. So for example, while I was doing music on the street, I had 2 other partners who were with me. And a few of the things that we would do is we would actually take the finances that we gained from busking that day, and we would actually display it to people around the area who may have not had the finances needed to be able to go get food. That was the bare minimum we could do as street musicians, but it was still just making sure that we were just kind of cognitive of our environment.
Yeah, so, like feeding the community, right? That's awesome.
Right. So being able to put money towards the community, what we were able to do.
Right. Y'all are musicians, you were outside playing, and so people were giving y'all tips. So to be able to share the tips with the people that you shared, ultimately the streets with, right? You ultimately shared this community with them to be able to share your talent and the revenues that talent was able to generate. With kind of what I always say, the most vulnerable. I think that's so admirable. I love hearing that.
Well, here's something that's also awesome. It wasn't a one-sided thing. Like I can say today, that people who were out there with me were most definitely looking out for me. I've had people that acquired finances, and at the time I may have not gained enough money at that time. So if I needed things like batteries or stuff like that, they had no problem just giving me what I need so I can go and make sure I can get the batteries to come back and make sure that I'm still able to do entertainment for the area.
Oh, I love that.
I had a gentleman by the name of George Crawford, and this is an individual that I can't forget. He used to be across the street from the National Portrait Gallery over there by Gallery Place. He said at Shake Shack. And one of the moments that really stood out to me, which is why I do carry so much love for the community and like, us, our people, is because while he was out there, he was, I would say he was going through a significantly harder time than I was being homeless in Washington, D.C. And this man still found it within himself to know that I was outside during the summer busking, that I was busking completely nonstop, because that's just how I used to do. I used to just go through with the music. It was perfect for me to just be able to zone out. But he saw the amount of time that I was out there, and this man took the resources that he made in that time that he was there, went in the Shake Shack, got me a burger, got me fries, and got me a drink, which I was extremely grateful for. So
I love that. So, and I love it. And so then, it sounds like, so you got your start, you went out and you were like, I can play this music. I'm going to go out and I'm going to entertain, right? Like I got audience because people walk about all day long, right? And then you get this opportunity to perform for a princess and a queen. And so is that kind of what started the journey into, corporate gigs and gigs with governors and kind of vice presidents and all the things? How many years ago was that, for instance, that you were?
Wow, let's see.
I know, you starting to grow up.
Yeah, that was, I want to say that was maybe, I'm trying to remember, 2012. So it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's most definitely been a while.
I love that. So what does that journey look like on the other side? So, talk us through it. In my last podcast that we just filmed right before yours, we were talking about the grit that's required, the work that's required, the discipline and the hours that you have to invest right in it, to get to, I guess, success, get to the other side of things. Do you still play outside there on the street? You probably don't.
For the moment, at this moment, currently not. Yeah, currently not.
The streetscape probably afford you.
But,
they would support you.
I wouldn't say all that. I would say more so that someone may feel that they can play my cello a little bit better than me, and they may decide to do that. So then I'll be trying to fight with them to get my cello back. So
yeah, it's a pretty cello. It's a beautiful cello. You're like, I'll take that one outside. That can't go outside. Got you. Okay, so and you gonna get that cello back. Something tells me. Okay, so but walk us through the journey. Walk us through where you are today and what it took to get to where you are today.
So.
And it don't always have to be the pretty stories. I think that the encouraging stories are what folks kind of also love to hear too.
Got you. It's...
Ooh, the journey.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been
Ooh,
a
the journey.
Right.
Ooh, and you like, which part of the journey will I tell? The part that inspires people, the part that uplifts people, the part that tells people we all have had challenges and roadblocks and how we push through to actually be able to manifest, these dreams and these visions that we have for ourselves.
Right. So I can say that there were indeed a lot of challenges, and it was more so just making sure that I was able to maintain my optimism during those challenges. Because I'm sorry if it seems like I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm so sorry.
No, you don't have to be sorry. This is a conversation, so.
Right. So the thing about it is just making sure that I stayed very optimistic during those challenges, that I made sure that I was focused on my music, just kind of the next event, making sure that I had good people surrounding me, my mother, my sister, my niece, yourself, where we have collaborated together. Just in general, and that's the thing, like I'm very grateful for my community, that for the challenges that I have faced, that they have always been the guiding light kind of to inspire me to face those challenges. Now, something that I can say about my journey as of recent that was a challenge. In 2021 of January, I was actually struck by an SUV over on, I believe, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to recollect because of how, how close the accident was and the information surrounding that.
Yeah, how traumatizing it was too.
Right. So a few things was, the challenge of being able to get past the traumatic brain injury, getting past the problems that I was feeling in my body and my arms in particular when I would try to perform my instrument. Again, my mom and my sister were very pivotal, my niece included, were very pivotal during this time of recovery. A part of that challenge of recovery was the idea of having to rebuild, myself, the idea of wondering if I was still up to par with what people expected to me, being able to maintain the expectations I had prior to the accident, having to deal with community changes. When I say community changes, I mean, people in your environment and stuff like that, really seeing where people stand. And past all of that, I would say that going through all of those challenges had me develop a much deeper relationship, not only with my family, it really had me develop a deeper spiritual connection to the point where there are still certain challenges that I'll face today that are both related to the accident and some that are unrelated to the accident that can have to do with business. And the key thing is just making sure that I am focused and not letting myself or my spirit be negatively impacted in a way where it starts to impede on my work. So something that I keep in the back of my mind is to protect your spirit. And that's kind of been a saying of mine since 2012. And it's just a reminder that you don't want to necessarily be like the things, the people, stuff like that are bringing these challenges to your life. You want to output goodness into the world, and this is going to sound crazy, but another thing, and the reason why I'm into all of this, even with the challenges, because I know that's where the initial question came from. It's important to keep your optimism, because if you're not able, and this is a core belief that I hold, if you're not able to maintain, getting past those challenges, then there comes a potential that these challenges will not only negatively impact you in a way, but because you're negatively impacted, you may feel the need to go out and negatively impact others. So I'm going to get ready to take it into a spiritual place. I'm very heavily spiritual.
As am I.
But yes, ma'am. So just coming back across the challenges and making sure you get past them, because you want to make sure that you're not being negatively, impacted by those challenges where you're outputting negativity into somebody else's life. That is something that I look at as the manifestation of the devil. And that's because you're putting your ego and your own goals and stuff like that over, a variety of other people and stuff like that. But on the flip of that, if you hold compassion in your heart, again, this is why it's important to get past the challenges with optimism, because if you hold compassion in your heart when dealing with someone who's going through a similar storm such as yourself, through your compassion, that's where God is able to manifest. And things can either be worked past that point, or somebody just may need to see that somebody cares about them. It'd be a ray of light in to somebody that may need it. So.
That was beautiful. And thank you for walking us through the journey. I think, in terms of going through the accident, having a traumatic brain injury, coming back. And so, and you are someone who has like serious talent, right? You are blessed with this amazing talent, this amazing light when you come into, the space. And like the performance you had for us today, earlier on set, it took everybody into a place of calmness, and all of us were able to, I don't know where their thoughts went, but I know my thoughts went places, and it was just the gift that you have and have been able to share with the world really is something that can change people. It blesses us in so many ways, and so I know what that's like, right? So to come into after having a traumatic brain injury, I'm sure you were probably like, oh my God, like how am I going to be able to perform at the level that I was at, before, right?
Right.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was on my orthopedic doctor about, was just kind of getting a better idea of what the injuries were that I sustained and what were the possibility of things realistically. I recall conversations, not that I recall conversations, but conversations the doctors had with my family that they, of course, let me know about by the time I was discharged, but they didn't think that I would have the functionality of speaking. They didn't think that I would have be at the same level that I was cognitively. They felt that I would not be able to walk again. And with all of that, there was the possibility of not being able to perform again. So, yeah.
Well, God is good.
Right.
From that, perseverance, your mindset. So you talked about all the things that had to go into.
Right.
I'm having, and those are real challenges, right? Wow. And so to push through all of that and now be here in 2025, sitting here and in some of the rooms that I know about that you've been in, my God, a living, walking testimony, right? To, as you mentioned, God's manifestation, His blessings and favor, ultimately, and I'm excited that you still get to bring your gift. But I want to encourage our listeners to know that sometimes you have to really embrace the struggle and get through it to get to the other side. Because on the other side, there's a lot of big blessings over there, right? So that's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
So let's talk about that next. Let's talk about, you've pushed through and you're on the other side. And, you've done everything from the 60th anniversary of the Martin Luther King, the reception that was hosted by our former Vice President, Kamala Harris. Like, how did you prepare for those moments? What did that look like for such a big stage, such a dynamic opportunity? Like, how do you prepare yourself for that?
Mostly having to make sure that I am calming myself down, because there's a lot of weight that comes with those performances. Just making sure that I'm upholding the particular quality that I would feel would be in those type of events. Making sure that the songs that are in those environments are appropriate, and that's usually in general. So that ranges from performances from Martin Luther King III, and it also ranges from the event that I did on behalf of the National Gallery of Art, in which Vice President Kamala Harris was in attendance for that. So I kind of prepare the same way that I prepare for my other events, and that's a very analytical approach that I'll usually take to the music. So usually making sure that I have my chord structures, my keys and everything are good. I want to make sure that my intonation is good on the cello. I want to make sure, to me, that my frequency is good coming off of my amp, because, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I have to feel what I'm playing.
You do. You get lost. Yeah. I'm like, Benjamin. You're like, oh, I was lost. Okay, I'm back. You get deep.
I'll say that I'm glad that y'all never used a hook to pull me out the way. So, yeah, like.
I love it. I love that you get lost in it. So, the young lady and me who went to a performing arts school, if you didn't get lost in your performance, like, I don't know what happened. You weren't into it then, right? So I love that you get lost. It's important. Now, how do you measure success? So I know you just talked about how you prepare, and how do you measure success for yourself? And as an artist, sometimes that can be a little difficult. But yeah, tell me how you measure success and how do you celebrate success for yourself?
So if I'm going to be completely, transparent, the way I measure success is more so about how I view the way that I'm handling the music first and foremost. So, that comes down to things, again, that I said last time. That comes down to intonation, making sure that I know the patterns, the keys, the chord structures of a song and everything like that. Because in some occasions, you know, depending on what the type of venue is, sometimes you are the forefront of the entertainment and other times you are the background of the entertainment. So it's just, I'm sorry,
No, we were talking about how you measure success, and you were talking about sometimes you're at the forefront, sometimes you're in the back.
Right. So a lot of the times it usually comes down for me measuring the success of myself, like how well I did a performance, how the intonation was, how the song went. Was the song a lot more easy? Was it a lot more difficult? That's internally, and then externally, the way that I measure success is I look out to the audience and I'll check for reactions. I'll see if there's somebody sitting up there doing a little shimmy or something like that, or you know, seeing if there's a person out there who's having a karaoke moment trying to sing the words to the song, and then I'll throw a quick change in the song, and then they're sitting up there like, "What are you doing?" So those little fun moments, just making sure that people are engaged with what I'm doing, that people are really having a good time with what I'm doing, that it's creating a comfortable environment for everyone. And with that being said, I've had environments that I've been in where I've had both political parties present, where it's been Democrats and Republicans who have been present, and I want to make sure that the music that I'm putting forth isn't necessarily tailoring to, you know, one ideology's favorite genre of music or something like that. I want to make sure that this is a good space where it's not contributing any sort of thing to the environment, but more so having a sense of community. Like, even though we're on different sides of the political spectrum, we have similarities in that we both love this song, and this young man is playing this song right now. Yeah. So, I mean,
music that makes people feel good,
right,
brings them in, and creates community.
And also, you know, when I've had an opportunity to play music for children, that's where it really goes a long way for me, to be able to see the curiosity and the wonder that they may have in their eyes when I'm playing, you know, a cello, and I may not be playing classical repertoire, but things that they're more likely to hear on the radio, or things that they're more likely to hear on television, just to be able to bring this different environment into them. So, I mean, that's kind of how I measure, you know.
Do you still play your classical repertoire?
Oh, yes, okay.
Yes, the next thing we're going to do, I want that. I just want old classical, old school
We're
stuff.
going to do that, yes.
All right, I'm excited about that. I love that. Okay. So, this goes right into my next question.
Okay.
So, classically trained, but what's your favorite genre? And I've seen a bunch of you, right? So in different spaces, audience, crowds, but what's your favorite?
So my favorite genre of music really ranges. Like, I grew up, you know, having a hip hop influence, having a funk influence through my mom and everything like that. And then, of course, I ended up growing up and going through high school. And I told you, of course, how video games were a major part of my upbringing. So during this time when I was going through high school, really popular game during the time was called Guitar Hero 3. Guitar Hero 3 was, you know, a big deal for me because that exposed me to music that I otherwise may have not listened to or anything like that. And just being able to hear a completely different genre from, you know, stuff that I was already, you know, listening to, like the rock and the metal and stuff like that. Those became genres that, you know, I have a great deal of respect for, as well as the hip hop, the funk, the jazz, and everything like that. Blues, you know, which was by us, that ended up being not being a subsidiary, but led on to the creation of rock and other music genres as well. So I have a wide range of genres of music that I listen to. Like, I may listen to country, you know, one day, and I'm talking about, when I say country, I'm talking about true country. So like the Charles Daniel Band, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, you know, stuff like that. Listening to what could be classified, you know, what is classified as metal, whether that's System of a Down or something like that. So I have a love for all of the different music genres, because the way that you go about tackling the melody over those songs, it changes from genre to genre. So it's very interesting.
So you don't have a favorite? You said you love them all.
I love them all.
And have you fused them all together? Because from time to time I was like, we rocking over there with Benjamin.
So I haven't
I
had
feel like you've been, but then we might go to hip hop, and so
Yeah.
I'm like, that felt like heavy metal just now, but all right. And then I might be on like a hip hop situation and all the things, and of course they always sound so beautiful and go so well together.
Yeah.
But so would you say like you're kind of blending them all together? Is kind of your
I would say as of right now that it's like originally the way it used to work is I would cover a song and I would kind of stay true to the vocal parts of that song. But then things happened in 2021, had to restructure the way my mind works, had to restructure the way that I perceive music and everything like that. And so the way I look at music now is vastly different from the way that I used to look at music.
interesting.
So,
So no favorite.
no.
You still didn't tell me your favorite genre. You told me all the things that influence you, but no favorite yet.
Yeah.
But that's okay if you don't have it. It sounds like you like them all. It sounds like you like rock. Sounds like you like R&B. It sounds like you like country, and it sounds like at this point you kind of are putting them all together. I feel like.
Right. So forgive me because sometimes I accidentally blank out.
That's right. That's why I'm right here with you. I'm pretty good at reminding you, don't you think?
Yes, yes.
I don't know, Miss K. I feel like I could go on the road. Did you see how I'm able to remember the whole situation and bring them back? All right, I'm ready.
So I had to learn to look at music a little bit differently, which is very numerical. Like it's a lot of numbers involved, a lot of patterns, a lot of sequencing and stuff like that. And so now I'm at a place where, because I'm looking at music differently, I'm able to take bits and pieces of other songs and incorporate them over other songs, or take a particular style of song and incorporate it over another song. So one of my favorite things that I had performed with Coco D that I'm grateful to have that platform for, I performed Finesse by Bruno Mars, but the songs that I throw over top of it have been Dream On. It has been Just the Two of Us. It's been This Is How We Do It. It's also been Happy by Pharrell Williams. And that all comes down to knowing the key signatures of those songs and being able to know where they would fit in over different songs. So that's a case where I use Finesse, and those are the songs that I'll throw over Finesse by Bruno Mars, and then by the end of the song I'm fading back into what people know of Finesse. I have another...
Now, what did you play for us earlier?
Oh, that was a piece by a good friend of mine. He was doing J. Cole and Isaiah Rashad type instrumental. Yeah. I like that one.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I like that one. I really love that one.
That was awesome. I feel like the whole crew liked it. What y'all think, crew?
It was great.
Love that. All right, so wait, you're an author and you have penned an autobiography called Strings Chose Me. I don't think I have your book. I need the book. I mean, I'm just saying. Did y'all bring me the book, Miss K? Do I have the book today? Okay, I'll order it online. So, but you're detailing your journey, right, as a young Washington, D.C. cellist.
Right.
And at the end of the written work, you instruct readers to keep music alive.
Right.
What did you mean by this? And how do you intentionally amplify this phrase within your own life? So how do you do that? So what did you mean when you said it, and how do you live this out in your own life?
So we were working on that blog, I remember that, and it became it was a rift. It was a rift off of Keep Hope Alive. That's the first thing, making acknowledgments of that. But in terms of keep music alive, the one thing that I would say that statement should prioritize is the support of artists. Making sure that they're getting the platforms, making sure that they're getting exposure and things like that, making sure that artists are not expendable in the eyes of some of the, some people that hire artists and, event planning companies that hire artists and stuff like that. So just making sure that artists are supported, making sure that they're loved, making sure that they're getting fair opportunities and platforms, making sure that artists understand that they're not expendable, which I can say is something that has been experienced in this career path. And that's where, a person loves you for about a month and some change in collaboration or so, and then whether that's communication of contract or business dealings or something like that, it becomes a moment where kind of the person that puts the event together will look for a replacement if they feel that their artist is not, or this particular artist isn't falling in line or doing things or, changing finances and stuff like that. So when I'm saying, to keep music alive, that's more so where I'm coming from. Like, artists have to be prioritized. Artists, you know, a lot of times if you don't have an idea of where you're going to try to go with your music and stuff like that, a lot of nights it can be starving and stuff like that. So just making sure that we are protecting our artists, making sure that they're being nourished. It's not just that with the artists, but it's also making sure that art in particular, whatever anybody does as art, you know, is being passed on to the next generation. So in my case, that would be music, having a conversation, making sure that I'm getting myself to a place where I can show children that look like me that this is something that they, you know, that this is something else that they can do, that it's not something that has to necessarily fall in lines with traditional methods. The traditional method of the cello originally was that you were in an orchestra somewhere. The idea of playing cello over trap beats, hip hop, you know, and all that other sort, you know, all that other stuff wasn't something that was being pushed forward. So making sure that you're nurturing musicians with new ideas. That's what it really comes down to: support, nurturing, making sure that they're loved, and also making sure that these things are being passed down to the next generation as well, so that they have similar opportunities.
I love that. That was beautiful. I love that. And I hope I'm doing a good job of keeping art alive in all ways.
Most definitely, yes.
I'm a fan. Oh, thank you, Miss Kelly. It means a lot to me. I wish it, you know, in my next life, I think I'm going to be an artist of some sort. Maybe. We'll see. I'm about to be an empty nester, so I have plans. We're going to see what I end up doing. And so, you know what, we you know, so you're a native Washingtonian, right? And so, and you just talked about young people, you know, having a positive impact in the music scene, right? And you do that here in DC, you know, and you talked about the youth, right? So that's why this work is important to you. And I love that you talked about representation. So being able to see Benjamin in this space with a cello, right? A classical instrument, but also being solo, right? And so I think when you think about, and I asked this question, you know, earlier today around legacy and community and building and what that looks and feels like for you. So, I took a lot away from that, but I want to see if there's something more you want to add to all the things that I just said as I recap what you said. But I'm also saying, like, what's the bigger impact? Where do you see yourself going? What's the bigger vision? What's the legacy? You've already created one, but what's one that you want to be kind of yours?
I appreciate that. So to kind of riff off of my last answer, where I would like to be able to take things. First of all, I want to say that there are a lot of artists in Washington, D.C. who have been making positive impacts over the years, and they're not always necessarily getting the credits as we have conversed over this podcast. I came back, I ended up going out on the street, I ended up performing music for the people of Washington, D.C., was able to get an opportunity. There are a lot of musicians who have been on, you know, the street, and they're getting good opportunities now. But it's just, you know, the idea that we were all out there together. We were all trying to, you know, market ourselves, make resources, collect resources for ourselves, and also impact the community in such a way where, you know, we were bringing a sense of quality and professionalism on the street. So that wasn't, you know, me exclusively. There were other amazing artists who are out there who have been contributing to Washington, D.C.'s music scene for years. And what is so grand about that is we have a wide diversity of talent in Washington, D.C. So something that I've always said is that Washington, D.C. is a gem for entertainment. Now, in terms of having a dialogue of how I feel that entertainment has been capitalized on and stuff like that, I don't necessarily have an opinion there. But I know something that I would like to do. And one of the things that I would like to do is, I recall when I came back to the district, one of the things that was very difficult was figuring out how I was going to get involved in the music scene, because we had the quartets back in the day, we had the different orchestral programs and stuff like that, and it was difficult to figure out how to find my way into those different career paths. Just getting back home, and it was something at the time that it was more so like you had to know somebody, or you had to know someone who had their quartet or had their program, and to go through stuff like that. You know, I had to figure out what I was doing when I was able to get my business started. I had to figure out, you know, how I was going to run it, because I have experience with the music, but I didn't have the career expertise. And that's where my lovely mother ended up. When she retired, she came on board and she started helping me out, you know, with my business, which I'm always and forever grateful for the sacrifice that she made as my mother, my sister's mother, my niece's grandmother. The role that she played as, you know, keeping me focused in life and everything. So,
I love that. That was the, I was going to talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial journey, right? And being an artist and an entrepreneur and a business person. So I think that's wonderful to have, Miss K. And sometimes we have to have, you know, folks around. You talked about the people who uplift you, who build you, you know, who help you sustain, and just how invaluable that is. And so, like, even for me, I realize and recognize I don't do this work alone.
Right.
I need people around me, good people around me, who can catch the vision, see the vision, and are willing to work hard with me on this vision, right? And the blessing that we can be. So, yeah, I love that you mentioned, Ms. K, because I was going to talk about that. And I think, you know, we talk about it with blueprinting. And, you know, you don't have to be perfect at everything. Just be great at what you're great at, and then build community and team around you for your areas of growth, right? But I think oftentimes, you know, we're trying to do everything by ourselves and trying to be perfect in all the different spaces and places. But, you know, you're best at being an artist. You're best at being a cellist. And so how do you have people you can trust around you to help you build? So I love that you talked a little bit about that.
So,
now, go ahead, please.
So I was just going to finish up on the last question. I remember one of the things that I'm trying to get to is community has always been very pivotal for me, even to the point where I was telling you about George, how he went to Shake Shack and he got me my food and stuff like that. Everything, you know, I really don't know how to explain it, but it's just you gotta put love in your community. So, like, one of the long-term things for me is, as I mentioned, the shortcomings that I had with starting my own business and stuff like that. You know, I don't want other individuals who are the youth to go through what it is that I had to go through, in the sense of figuring things out. And that's where it comes down to making programs that they're getting the business expertise, making sure that they're getting the experience on the cello, making sure that they understand that this one particular thing isn't just necessarily tied to orchestras and quartets, but it's expansive. So wanting to get to a point where I can have a platform where I can bring the youth, have them gain opportunities where they're able to perform for some of the people that I perform for, where they can start building up their resume and their portfolios and stuff like that, to be able to help impact their lives. That was all.
I love that. Could you bring Mackenzie with you? Mackenzie, if you're listening. Benjamin said you can come and play that cello with him. Okay,
you got a lot of different ways to go about it. You can record, you can loop. Like, it's not one of those things where it has...
she has stage fright.
Okay.
So I know why Mackenzie won't do it, but I'm like, push through it. But anywho, so what would you tell someone with stage fright? That's a real thing, right?
So it's a very real thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and be completely honest with you.
Which I don't have stage fright,
right.
So I don't understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have to understand. I'm like, give me the mic. What we doing? I don't have a speech. Let's go. I'm gonna act like I care, like I need a speech, and I need cards. But realistically, if I had to just go up there and talk, I'm just fine. But you know, for Mackenzie, it is the bane of her existence to have everybody watching her all at one time. So what do you tell people about that?
So that's how it was for me too. And then even to this day, I still get nervous when I go out there and perform, because I'm like, oh, what if I go out here and my intonation is off, or I forget what the part is of the song or something like that, then it's going to be this whole whirlwind of a mess. So I get that, but then over time, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything, I just kind of developed this relationship title with the cello, where it's like now that's one of the things that while I still get nervous about, by the time I draw the first note, a lot of times that'll leave. Like I'm more nervous about, you know, other things like trying to put myself out here on the dating scene.
You said you more nervous about that now.
Yeah, I'm more nervous about that than the music, you know, than the stuff with the music and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where everything is going.
So you gotta push through, basically.
Yep, you do.
And then practice makes perfect, right?
Yes.
And you found, I'm sure, things to help you deal with the stage fright, right? Like you found ways around it.
Yes.
And that's for our listeners, you know, is like really learning how to push through, because there's always going to be a fear of something or something that holds you back from the dream, right? Mine is being a perfectionist, but so I know that exists for me, and I know that can hold me back. So I've had to learn to just move forward with what I have in front of me, and I can always, you know, fine tune it, but get started. Like let it go. Don't hold it while you're still trying to fine tune it, because it's stopping my progress.
And see, if I can add on to that, it's very interesting that you said that, because I look at it, for me personally, I'm also a perfectionist when it comes down to the music and stuff like that. And it's very interesting that you're talking about where that perfection, you know, being a perfectionist has kind of held you back from releasing certain things and doing certain things. You know, that applies, you know, in the realm of music of things that I do, because there have been recordings that I've done, there have been little snippets that I've collected, and my whole thing is I'll go and I'll listen to it on a terrible quality phone versus a good quality, you know, laptop or something like that, and I'm like, no, this can't go out, this can't go out, this can't go out. And that has really, you know, impeded me where I have wanted to market. So I just wanted to touch on that and say you are absolutely
don't tell that to us, Cole. We not listening. If he try to tell us we can't play that music, we ain't listening. Okay, we getting it out. It's beautiful. Okay, so I know I have to move on. So let's talk about, you've performed in a lot of states here in the U.S. Have you ever performed internationally?
So I have performed internationally. The thing about those is those are all heavily surrounded in NDAs that I can't reveal even the locations that I went to have those performances. But I can say that they were private events. That's the most that I can say.
Okay, yes. All right, so what daily practices do you have that keep you aligned with your goals?
Oh, man. You said what daily practices?
Yeah, what daily or weekly practices that you engage in, that you have. I see that smile. You're like, can I say it on this show? That keep you aligned with your goals.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna say it's definitely just being motivated off of music, keeping that going, make sure that I'm marketing myself, make sure that I'm staying true to my brand. Those sorts of things. Like I said, I'm very spiritual, so I'll take part in grabbing a scripture from the Bible and just kind of ponder on that, you know, throughout the week. There will be times where I look up different producers and stuff like that, just kind of to see how they're utilizing their tools into what they're doing. Going over the music that I will be performing for an event. And having to keep myself encouraged by telling myself I'm great. So
affirming yourself.
Right.
Absolutely. I love that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm getting the wrap signal, and so that means that our time is unfortunately coming to a close today. But I'm honored and I'm grateful, and I thank you for joining me. And I'm going to ask you two last questions before you go.
Okay.
Number one, what advice would you tell any of our listeners that, you know, in terms of encouraging them to blueprint and manifest their dreams? So what word of advice would you give? What would you tell your younger self and tell our listeners? And then how I would like for you to tell our listeners how we can support you, how we can learn more about your work, and all those good things. Okay? So those are the two things that I would like you to leave our guests with.
Okay, so some of the advice that I would leave to the younger generation, just based off of what it is that I experienced in my journey, community is everything. You cannot turn your backs on one another, especially during this time right now. I feel that you need to be supportive of one another's dreams. It doesn't need to be something where it's trying to be competitive with one another and facilitating what the next big thing is going to be. It actually comes down to collaboration, bringing ideas together, and just making sure that no one is necessarily being left behind. So that is the thing that I would tell the younger generation. Stay connected. Make sure that you're supporting one another's goals and ideas. There is no such thing, as necessarily a stupid plan for a business or anything like that. Like, yeah, sometimes conversations may need to happen, but turning your back on one another for a difference of opinion or anything. Not saying that. I'm just saying that can be the case.
Right.
Just try to steer clear of that. Remember that you need to keep yourself humble. Remember where you think, that you're doing X, Y, and Z, that there's somebody always out there that can be doing it better than you. And that's, even though I just said what I said, making sure that I stay in my mind and keep telling myself that I'm great, understand that while that does have a little bit of an egotistical ring to it, I have a very realistic side that is most definitely gauging the competition. But, I can't take something like that and be like, oh, nah, I'm Benjamin Gates. I'm trying to maintain, my optimism and stuff like that. So,
all right, and then you got to tell us how we can support you.
So the way that you can support me, I have, if you have events or anything like that, or a client that's looking for a cellist, you can reach out to me through asteroidtitanium.com. You can reach out to me through benjamingates0@gmail.com. You can reach out to me through benjamingates0 at Instagram. There are a lot of different methods that we have that are online, that if you would want to support or hire me for an event, you would be able to find it, and I would be very grateful for your endorsement. So thank you.
Love it.